Hey guys, this is Chris Fayte with Cheat the Game coming back at you today. We're going to be taking a look at Resident Evil 2, the remake that was recently released not too long ago. And what we're going to do today is something a little different, and I have been asked this for a long time now. So, with the help of my awesome mod as well as friend Lowbit, today we are going to show you how to make an item inventory editor, and that's what we're going to do today. I want to give Lowbit the full credit for this. This is not my tut, and this is all his, based and stemmed off what he posted on our Facebook page, CTG Facebook page. All the downloads are down there in the description. And this is his channel. An outstanding game hacker, well advanced, even advanced beyond me. He teaches me a lot, and this is his tut. He come out with it, and he's given me permission to show you guys. So keep that in mind as I'm doing this tut. That basically, I learned this not too long ago myself. Okay, so let's keep that in mind while we're doing this. Also, I'm going to leave a link for this description over here at Fearless, and we're going to be using this. I also want to give credit to CJ Bach. Sorry about that. And these are the item numbers and item IDs that we need. One for weapons, one for items, as you see. And we'll go into more detail about that later. And basically, there's several ways that you can go about these. Sometimes they're uploaded on the net, but a lot of times when you're doing inventory editors or things like that, mostly these guys are just going in there doing it manually. They're just, putting in the hex value and see what it produces, and they make their list that way. Now, there are ways that you can decompile certain games to get this information, but that's very hard to do as well. Usually that's modding type things. Let me get that off the screen. And things of that nature, but a lot of times they just do it manually, and it takes a long time to come up with these lists. So I want to give credit to him for his outstanding work on that as well. So Lowbit, I really appreciate your permission for this. Please go over to Lowbit's channel, outstanding game hacker, got tons of videos over here, and come over here to subscribe. He is an outstanding game hacker and can teach you a lot. He's got a lot of new content up here. He comes out with new content a lot to you, so come over here and click that subscribe button and the little bell, and he can come out with more stuff, and he is fully active with CTG as well. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the game, and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, I got the game up. I have not attached Cheat Engine to the game yet because I need to show you guys something. For this particular game, you do not want to use VEH. So what you need to do before attaching Cheat Engine to the game, come over here to Edit and Settings, over here to Debugger Options, and you will want to put it on Use Windows Debugger. We have found out that VEH will crash the game, so Windows Debugger seems to do okay. And make sure that this is ticked on. Try to prevent detection of debugger. Now, in some instances, VEH is working fine, and in some instances, it isn't. So it's better to go ahead and put it on Windows Debugger for this game, just to be on the safe side, and you should be just fine. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload my table for it. So let's go ahead and attach to the game. And it'll search my cheat tables document folder to bring up the game, and here's mine, but I'm going to delete this for now because we're just going to start from scratch. And I've already looked up ammo and everything. Also, about the inventory item editor is that there are 3 offsets that I know of that we will be dealing with in regards to items being off of one offset from a base address. The weapons will be through another offset, and also I recently found out, thanks to Lowbit, that our ammo types will also go through another different type offsets. And when you change out with your inventory editor, like to the bazooka or rocket launcher or something like that, you will also have to change the value type of the correct ammo for it, or you will not be able to reload it. So keep that in mind also. But like I say, that's not really the gist of this tutorial. It's just teaching you how to get an inventory list. So what we need to do, first of all, let's go back to that, and we need to have an inventory, and this is our inventory. Here's our weapon, and over here is the ammo for that weapon. So we need to find the value of something in here, just so we can, you know, we need to have a starting value. Like I always say, find something related to what you're looking for, because that is the best places to start. Now this game happens to be a lot easier with the items and inventory and things like that than most other games, so keep that in mind too. It's not like you'll just be able to grab every game and it be this easy, okay? But they are there, you just have to search for it. Also, this is a more intermediate to advanced lesson as well. Beginners, we got to do a little tracing and everything like that, but hang with me, you might pick it up anyway, who knows. Alright, for right now, we have the ammo, or the gun and the ammo, and what we're going to try to do is find this ammo. Now, I only got 5 tries to find it, so what I want to do is make sure that my ammo is 1 less than the cap. That way it's only reloading 1 each time. That way I have 5 searches instead of just a few. We find out by playing the game that the gun itself has a cap value of 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up the ammo, and I'm going to put my current ammo at 11. So let's go ahead and turn on my ammo code. And there it is, and it shows 1 right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to X that, and I'm going to put that one up to 11 if it'll let me. I don't know why it's not letting me. Oh, I have my keypad turned off, sorry about that. There we go. Alright, so now we got that up to 11. Let's go back just to make sure, and there we go. It's holding steady at 11. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and put that 5 in there. That's how much I've got in my inventory right now. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get access to this inventory right here. So let it do its scan. I'm going to pause it while it does that, and I'll be right back with you. Alrighty, so the scan stopped. I'm going to go ahead and hit unchanged value. Now that I have my gun up to 11, now all we have to do is just reload the gun. And, well, it's up to 12, so let me make sure. Let me go ahead and fire up a round just to be sure. Alright, let me put it back on 11 just to make sure. I must have accidentally clicked on it, sorry about that. There we go. Alright, so we know that the cap is 12, so now when we reload the gun it should only take 1 away, so that's what we want to do. So let's go ahead and reload, and you see our ammo count went down to 4. Alright, 4. And we're down about 26. And here's a nifty little trick too, as if you do have a lot of searches and it's not weeding down that well, let's go ahead and take that out. You can kind of look around this area for addresses around this area, and usually you can find it. And if you take a look, we have one that's similar, 11B5, 11BD, so that's the one I'm going to try. Now, does it always work that way? No, but in a lot of games it will work that way, and it helps you kind of narrow down your search a little bit. Also, you can put it as your start and stop addresses, so you're not getting just billions of useless addresses. But let's just see if that's it. I'm going to move that up to 10. And when we go back to the game, you can see right here it went to 10, so good. So we have found it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and find out what is writing or accessing this address. And come back over to the game. Let's go out of the inventory, back into the inventory. You see 2 addresses pop up. But what I want to see if anything pops up when we hover over, or if those are being accessed when we hover over ammo. Nothing is. What about when we try to move it? The reason that we want to do this is there's some areas in memory that will only, or some opcodes that will only be handling your items, and there are opcodes that will only be handling your weapons. There's another opcodes that will only be handling your ammunition. So I'm trying to distinguish that. I'm trying to separate that out, and I want to find something that will be handling all those values in one opcode. That's what we're looking for. So I think this one right here that popped up when we tried to move the ammunition is the better one to try. And let's go ahead and take a look. When we have that highlighted, we can take a look at the snapshot of the registry from the first time it hit, and we can see what's going on with the registers. And here's where you want to kind of pay attention. We want to look for anything. I'm at the start of the game, so usually your item IDs for starting weapons or items or anything like that, most of the time would usually have a low ID number. And that's the kind of things I'm looking at. Things like this. These are interesting values. Things like this. You'll have certain item IDs that'll say this is not a weapon, this is not an item, things like that also. So when you do not have one of these item sheets, so you have to keep things like that and go test things out, and it takes a lot longer. But when you do have somebody that's already put the work into it, which CJ did, which I thank him for, we can kind of bypass that step and go take a look. If you see right here, we have our handgun ammo, and in one registry it's holding a -1. All F's is in auto assemble is -1. And we see that -1 states that it's not a weapon, that it's an item, and all zeros means that it is a weapon and none of these items. So that's how it's differentiating it. So if we go back to Cheat Engine and take a look, we can see R15 definitely looks interesting in that regard, as saying that this is not a weapon. And we also have some values in R9 and R8 that are significant. If we take a look at F, if we go along here on the item chart, we can see, let me take a look, F right here, we can see that is handgun ammo, and we can test this. We can definitely test this. Let's go back to let's see if we can bring up that opcode in memory, and let's see what it's coming up with just at that opcode. Let's just see if we can take a look at the addresses that's coming out. So let's go back to it. If I move this down, move that back up, if I move this down and back up, it's definitely showing everything, but it has to be manually maneuvered to show it. So you can see here that it's basically just showing our inventory count. It's not showing IDs or anything like that, just how many we got of whatever. So that's really not what we need here. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I'm going to re-record this section right quick because I think I can just do it a little bit better. So basically what we did, we're at this opcode here, and this opcode only appeared when we tried to move our inventory ammo. And basically when you're looking for inventory IDs and things like that, one thing you can look for is like complex addresses. That'll be like where you have REX plus RCX times 4 plus an offset and everything like that. Usually that middle register will be an item ID or associated with the item ID, or how it's distinguishing the item in memory. So a lot of times we look for things like that. We always want to pay attention to the registries, you know, in our inventory, because somewhere probably in these registers it is storing our item ID. And if we don't already have his cheat sheet to let us know that CJ provided for us with his hard work, and we thank him, we would have to go test these out to see which one of these was possibly our item ID, which would take a lot longer, and I'm not going to do. So when we come over here to CJ's item IDs right here, we take a look here, we see that OF is handgun ammo. So when we come back to Cheat Engine, we can take a look in R9 and we see that F. We also see this interesting value. Now all F's in the auto assembler is -1. And that's also interesting because if you take a look right here, it states that all F's is not a weapon. So it signifies when something is a weapon and when something's just a regular item. So that's also interesting to keep in mind. But knowing the fact that our handgun ammo is being stored in R9, now we've got a source where we can go try to find this, what's happening with R9. And like I say, I'm taking a lot of work and I'm trying to make it simple, but where you really want to start is we start up here, see what's going on with R9. We put the breakpoint on that, or our debugger on that the first time we see R9. Then we also see it's XORing R9, which zeroes out the register. and we follow some calls and things like that and see what's going on with R9. So it is a process, and it can take you a while. It really, really can. But we're going to bypass that, say we already did that, and we're going to follow the code on down and see what's happening with R9. Where is it getting its value? And what I do, and what we're going to do, is put a breakpoint with F5, or you can come up here and toggle breakpoint. We know that this area is only being accessed when we try to move something in our inventory, and we're going to try to move our handgun ammo. Let me get back to the game. Let me see here. There we go. Looks like it's already broke. I'm sorry. Let me run the game. There we go. So now let's do it again, and we're going to break. There we go, and we get the same information back up here, and we see F is already in R9, and let's just, for the sake of time, we've already studied R9 on up the code. Now we need to study R9 down the code, and what we're going to do is we're going to F7. Now F7 is step, and F8 is step over. And what that means, when we get to a call, we can step into the call and see what's going on in the new function that it's calling, or we can step over the call. In this case, we need to follow R9, so we need to be stepping into calls, and that's what we're going to do. So we're just going to F7. It's actually running the program one opcode at a time. We hit the call, and it carries us to a jump, and it comes over here, and we just kind of look for R9. There is no manipulation of R9 before it hits this call, so let's step into that call, and we need to see what's going on with our item inventory ID. And it jumps again, and boom, when we get to here, we see that R8, R9 are being utilized right here. R9, something's being written into R9, so we need to take a look and see what's going on right here with R9. So what I'm going to do is find out what accesses this instruction. Let's go back to our game. Oh, let's first, before we do that, we need to remove the breakpoint and have the game run again. I'm sorry. Go to view, breakpoint list, and remove this breakpoint. Just delete breakpoint. Come back to debug and mash run, or you can use the hotkeys. Now the game's running again. Now we can put our debugger on this opcode and see what's going on with it. We see some zeros being written in there, and when we click back into the game, we see some interesting values pop up. But we only see 3, the rest are zeros. Sorry about that, I didn't mean to do that. That's alright. But now they're down here. Alright, but we see some interesting values pop up, but only 3. We know that there's 4 items in our inventory. So why are we only getting 3 ID numbers and the rest 0? So what I want to do is I want to add each of these addresses to memory, or to the cheat table. And what I want to do is I want to change this to hexadecimal, because that's what our item IDs are stored in, is hex. And we're going to take a look at each one. Let's go back to our sheet here, and we see that the number 1, I'm sorry, I'd already had them up. Let me take them back. Alright, we see that the 1 here is the first aid spray. That's correct, that's in our inventory. F is our ammunition. We've already looked at, what's that 4D right there? 4D is the storage room key, and that's also what we got. But what we're missing is our handgun, and this is what we have in our inventory right now, is one of these handguns, and it's not showing. And we know that 0 only represents as this is a weapon. So it's not showing our item ID, because we should have another 1 in here showing our gun. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the debugger on one of these. Now these addresses are showing our item ID, so I'm going to find out what is accessing this address. So let's go back to the game, and we see a bunch of things pop up, and here's where we need to pay attention to things. Let's go back to the a bunch of things pop up, and what we want to do is we want to move this around and see what's being accessed. I don't see anything being accessed. I see that one's being accessed right here every time I move something. Let's look on down the sheet just a little bit. It gets a little tricky. You got to really pay attention to these numbers, find out what's going on with it. And we see some of those are being accessed as well. So for right now, this one right here was really being accessed a lot. So let's try here first. And I'm going to go there and disassembler. And this is trial and error. You just need to find a place that's dealing with all your inventory. I don't think this is one of them, but who knows. Okay, we see here that's only dealing with items. Okay, so we need one that's going to throw the weapon in there as well. So let's check one of these down here that may have been. Let's take a look again. I know I didn't stop it. Alright, so the first one I see is this compare right here. That was the first one that changed, the 4, and these all changed after it. So let's go to this compare right here. So let's go to this one that's using the R8 registry, and R9 is writing to that registry. So let's see what's going on in this one. I'm going to turn this off. I believe we got all the information we need. Alright, so let's go back to the game and into our inventory. And let's hover over things and move things around and take a look. And it's still not showing our item here, or our weapon at all. I don't believe. No, I don't think it would be. And here's why. Because these are the items as well, but this is in representation of our weapon, stating that this is not an item, a 0. Let's see. You see, that is a weapon. So that means there's another offset that is handling our weapon. So that's good information. So all 4 did pop up, because as you see, we did not get these locations pop up. That's just showing empty space, just the 4 items that we have. And you can further test that by putting more items in your inventory and see what pops up. So this is our weapon right here. So we did find an opcode that is dealing with our weapon as well as our inventory, and just our weapons, and not miscellaneous values, which is what we want. So what we want to do is I want to bring that up in dissect data, new window. Alright, let's take a look here. Remember, these are in hex. These are in decimal. I mean, we want to put them in hex to make sure they're all in hex, because that's how we're looking at it. So let's change type, and we're going to come over here to 4-byte hex, and that's what we're going to put them in. Oh, and take a look here. Now here's where our gun was, stating that this is not a weapon, and here's our item IDs right here, and here, right here is our weapon 1, that Matilda handgun, and we see all the items in that offset are all -1, which is at all F's, which states here, okay, that this is not a weapon. So all the time in offset 14, it just, if it's a weapon, it will show the ID. If it's not a weapon, it will just show that it's not a weapon. In offset 10, it's only for our items, which 4DF1, which is our spray, our ammunition, and that storage room key, and our gun, which only shows it's not an item, or it is a weapon. Okay, and here is our weapon, and the rest of the items are showing this is not a weapon. So this is a good spot. That is good. We can go test this spot also, or we could test these right here just to make sure, and we should have done that earlier, but I'm going to show you. When I come back over here, I'm going to change that to let's go back to our inventory right quick, and that storage room key, remember that was the 4D. I'm going to change it to 4E just to test it. and it removed it. So let's put it back. 4D. They don't want it to remove it. And it puts it back. What about 4A? Got to make sure we hit a correct number. Oh, and take a look at that. 4A, it changes it to a roll of film. So yeah, these are definitely our inventory ID. That was 4D. Let's turn it back to the storage room key. So we are in a good spot. So right off the bat, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and make sure all my debuggers are off and breakpoints are off. Where's that other screen? We'll keep that up for the time being. You see how it does get confusing. So I don't know where that breakpoint comes from. I can't find it, so I'm going to have to remove it manually. So delete breakpoint. There we go. And what we want to do is go ahead and put our injection copy on that right there. And I'm going to show you something cool. And Lobit taught this to me and to guys over at the Facebook CTG page. You guys need to come over there, because I'm telling you, a lot of great game hackers give some really good tips for stuff like this. Alright, so what we're going to call this is we're going to call this inventory IDs. That's what I'm calling it anyway, and that's just the name of that first byte, that place in memory. I'm not getting into all that right now. What I want to do is I want to do my injection copy. I'm going to do it a little differently than I normally do, and I'm going to assign it a spot in memory. And I'm just going to call this item ID. That's all I'm going to call it. And we need to allocate 8 spaces. This is I'm using a 64-bit version of the game. And label. No, we don't need a label. We need to register it as a symbol. Dadgummit. Alright. And we need to unregister it as a symbol. Make sure you do all of this first so you don't forget to. And we need to, anytime you allocate memory, you need to deallocate. So always remember that too. Sometimes I forget. Alright, so now we have its own spot in memory, so we want to put it away from new mem, and that means don't put it anywhere under it unless it's like under this return or something like that. Just don't put it in its proximity like that, but we'll put it above it. That'll be its own little spot. And if you don't know how to do injection copies, I got a vid on that, and it goes over it step by step. I'm not going over it here because I just don't have time. This is already a complex vid, and it's taking a lot of explaining, and I'm still learning it myself, so bear with me. Doing the best I can here. Alright. So what we want to do is move that R8, which is holding the base address of all these items, into our symbol. So that's what we're going to do. And remember, we're dealing with 2 offsets, 10 and 14. Remember, from our dissect data, offset 10 is only dealing with our items, and offset 14 is dealing with our weapons. Okay? So that's good information. So we can use that one injection copy for both offsets. So assign that to the current cheat table. Okay guys, I'm sorry, I just noticed something while I was in editing, and it's something we need to take care of. But anytime you carry a hard-coded jump or a call into allocated memory, which you really prefer not to do that, yeah, you really need to do this in a different way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this address, and we're going to take care of that. And that's basically for updates or anything like that come along. And especially if these addresses change. These are static, but if an update happens, they'll change. So I'm going to go to address right quick. And this is the jump that we're carrying to allocated memory right here. So what we want to do, and you'll need your calculator for this, we need the bytes to how many bytes it's jumping to. So what we do is we grab the biggest address first. So let's go ahead and follow the jump. and it comes to right here, and we just click on go to address, and when it does that, it just pops up the address that it happens to be on at that point in time. We just copy it, and let's bring up our calculator and go into hex and just paste it in there. Alright, now go back to our injection point. This will be our injection point. Remember, we put it on that compare. So let's click on go to address here to give us that address. Click cancel, and then we're going to put minus our injection point address, and that equals 22 hex bytes, which in decimal is actually 34 bytes, but 22 hex bytes, and that's good information. So now we can use that hard-coded, we can get rid of that hard-coded address and just use our symbol name. And I know it's a different script. I had to bring up my old script because I already put away the other one. And we just put plus 22. Okay? And that's basically how you deal with that. Just remember, we're making it go from our injection point, not the jump. Okay? So we're counting the bytes to where it needs to jump to, which is right here. Okay, so I just need to throw that in there. You will need to change that anytime you carry a jump or a call or something like that with you to allocated memory, so keep that in mind. Thanks, guys. Now you also will need to add a 1C, and that's for your ammo type. I just recently learned that, but you know, I don't have that information yet. So I'm going to go ahead and label this and call it inventory list. Alright. And what we want to do is go ahead and turn that on, and we're going to use our symbol here, item ID plus 10, and go ahead and add that to the table. Let's go back to it, make sure it finds our location, and you see here it does right here. Okay, and when we highlight something, you can see it change over here. Remember, it's showing you we need to put it in hex decimal, so you can see here. Let's go back to it, dadgummit, that when I highlight it, it's showing you the item ID in hex. So that's good information, because I'm going to show you something else you can do with that. So we can say here that this is our items right here. So remember, we also need our weapons, so we're going to copy this, Control C, then Control V, and we're going to change this one to 14. That's showing our weapons. Alright, so what I want to do is change that to, oh, okay, that's already in hex. Okay, good. Now I will show you this also. Let's change it back to decimal. If you see here, -1, just in case you didn't believe me. All else is a -1, and we're going to change that because that is the offset of weapons, and we did change the offset to 14. Good. So let's see if 1 pops up. Remember, 1 is that handgun Matilda, and that's what we actually have. So when I highlight it, that should show 1, and the one above it should show all zeros, saying that all zeros means it's not a weapon, or it's not an item. And this one, now it shows the bottom one as this is not a weapon, it's an item, and it shows the item IDs. Now here's the cool part. This is really cool. What we're going to do is we're going to label these. Instead of showing its hex values, we're going to just show its names, and that's what this sheet is for. This is what CJ's intent was, to help all you guys out, help us all, by putting its hex values with the colon and its name. And Cheat Engine can differentiate with that, and I'm going to show you. So we're going to put all the item IDs, we're going to copy them like this, just copy, come back over to Cheat Engine, just highlight it, right click on it, and you see this option here, set change drop down selection prop options right here, and just paste it in. And that's why he put it that way, because this is the format it needs to be in. Go ahead and click on all 3 of these and press OK. and take a look. You see that? It'll give you the name of what you're highlighting. Let's go ahead and do the weapons for 14. For offset 14. So we'll copy. Oops. Back to cheat engine, Chris. Back to cheat engine. We'll do the same thing for that one. So, paste. And here's all our weapons. Check all 3 of these. I want you to take a look. Alright. We're going to drop these as a child underneath the inventory list. Activate. And every time we highlight something, I want you to take a look. So I highlight my weapon, handgun ammo, and it states it's not a weapon in 14. I highlight first aid spray, highlight storage room key, it's not a weapon. Then I highlight my gun, handgun Matilda, it tells you what it is. So say I wanted to change it to something else. Well, also keep in mind that we will eventually need a 1C. I'm not going to put it in this vid because I don't have that information yet, but we'll need 1C because that will be our ammo types. Okay? So, but I don't have that list as of yet. So, bear with me. Well, if I do get a copy of it, I'll be happy to post it for you. Or come join us over at our Facebook channel, and we'll post it up there when we get it. Or check over at Fearless. And we'll need that later. But let's say I wanted to use the let's go back to it, and we can take a look at our list by double clicking on it, and let's change it to the anti-tank rocket launcher. What do you say? Sounds pretty good, eh? So what we need to do is we need to come over here to our chest. And what we want to do, you see it popped up in our inventory, but it won't allow us to use it yet. Let's take it out, put it back in our inventory like that. Now take a look. And with our infinite ammo code on, we got unlimited ammo. But just remember, Lowbit did state that you will, if you run out of ammunition, you will not be able to reload unless you have the proper ammo type, which will be located in 1C. So once I get information on that, I'll be happy to post it for you guys. But that just gives you a rundown. It's very difficult, and it does require a lot of tracing. So it is more for intermediate to advanced. And like I say, I'm still learning it too. I try to describe it as best I could. And basically we just had to look for the item ID registry and follow it and see what was putting it in that registry. Then we needed to go to a location that would be dealing with both our weapons as well as our item, and not just our item, which 10 was only dealing with items. So we had to go find something else and do it that way. So I do hope this helped everybody. Alright guys, I do hope that helped you. But as you can see, it does take a lot of work, and you know, when you do have the item IDs, it does make it a lot easier. That's why most people go out of their way to try to find these item IDs. But when you have these item IDs, you can do it a lot quicker and a lot easier. But just know that it still takes a lot of work behind it, as you saw. And I may not have done the best job of explaining it, but we're going to do more of these in the future as well. And now that we got our feet wet with it, then maybe we can do a lot of others. And I want to go ahead and thank Lowbit for his incredible hard work in this and giving me permission to do it. I also want to thank CJ Bach for his incredible ID table he loaded for us and did all that hard work. Wasn't for those guys, this bid would never happen. So we owe them a big debt of gratitude. I'm going to go ahead and thank my partners right quick. These guys are amazing. They keep Cheat the Game running, and they kindly donate each month to help fund the website, fund the things that we need, getting our registration for our name and things like that. And I just could not do it without them. And they enable me to keep Cheat the Game running. So I thank you so much. And anybody who signs up now, if you'd like to be a partner, it's only $1 a month over at Patreon. Or you can donate to the PayPal, which I'll have down there in the description. And I will send you a personal email, and I'll send you a link to the very brand new updated cheat table, the CTG. It will have every single solitary. It's the cheat folder actually of all my cheat tables. It'll have every single one of them. It's up to date. It'll even include this RE2 that I'm working on right now. So come on over and sign up. It's only $1, and I'd love to have you. All right, but I do thank you all so much for coming out and watching and supporting Cheat the Game. Please place a like on it and help us out. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. We'd love to have you aboard. Got some great more things coming out in the near future. But I'd like to look into some more of this inventory editing and see what we can do with maybe some other games in the future as well. But I will catch you guys on the next TUT. Hopefully I can come out with one towards the weekend, and we'll have some more content for you. I really appreciate it. You guys take care. You keep on hacking. Most importantly, please enjoy yourself. That's really what it's all about. You cheat the game, fellas, because believe me, it doesn't mind cheating you. You all take care now.